Good evening, and welcome to Talking Songs with me, Rowland Jones. So, what are we up to today? Well, we're up to something different today because, unfortunately, my guest for this evening had to pull out. So get well, my friend. And hang on a minute, who's coughing? Then I had somebody else who would agree to come and do it, and then they suddenly found they couldn't do it either. So we're going to do something different. But at the last moment, somebody has stepped in to come and chat to us in a bit. So I'll be introducing him in a second. But first of all, I'm going to play Anne's song. This song has two titles. It's either called We Were Lovers or We Were Strangers Again, depending on your perspective on the story. Basically, it was a story a friend of mine told me about meeting somebody at a wedding, a lady from the States, and having a relationship with her overnight. And but it was, it could be seen. How can I say? It could be just seen as a meaningless one night stand, or it could actually be seen as something that was quite striking because it happened, and it was extremely, what's the word I'm looking for? Satisfying, but at the same time, they knew it wouldn't go any further because she had commitments over there. Blah 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 blah. So anyway, I was quite taken by this story, so I wrote this song. So it's either We Were Lovers or We Were Strangers Again, whichever side of the story you want to start. She was just a friend of a friend, met her purely by chance. Loved the way she acted, and I loved the way she danced. We swayed so slow and gentle, taking care with every move. Going with the music, feeling the groove, but we were lovers, much more than friends. Come the morning, we were strangers again. Both standing looking lonely, not knowing which way to go. Were we looking for love or adventure? We didn't exactly know. Sometimes we look for friendship, hoping for something good. Not sure if we'd recognize it, not knowing if we could. We were lovers, much more than friends. Come the morning, we were strangers again. The next day it was over, like waking from a dream. Not sure if it had happened, not sure if it was real. We came from different stories, but we both went a different way. It was never ever meant to last. It was just an amazing day. We were lovers, much more than friends. Come the morning, we were strangers again. Yes. So, the reason, let's put that little baby down there. The reason I chose to sing that song this evening is because it has a definite story to it. And my guest this evening is also interested in storytelling in terms of actual musical stories, the musical as an art form. So I should like to welcome here Mr. Chris Penney. How are you doing,
Hello.
Chris?
I'm very well. Thanks for having me, Rowland.
Good. Yes. The musical. I'm as I've said to you, I'm not a big fan of the musical, apart from West Side Story. I don't think any. I mean, I can go back further, but modern musicals, I have to say, they're not something that I'm enamored by. But something fascinates me about them. Why, when I hear a tune on the radio, do I think, that's from a musical? What is it that makes those songs sound? What gives them that sameness?
God, what a big question. Well, I think
we've got an hour. Don't worry.
I mean, thank you first of all for making your dislike of musicals known to me before.
Well, I did prepare you for that one. So yeah.
Well, yeah, you did. I knew what I was getting into. Well, I think to start with, I mean, there are different kinds of musicals with different sounds. So, for example, I'm certainly not a fan of the album musical, for instance. You know, We Will Rock You or the ABBA stuff. That's not a musical to me. That's just a jukebox musicals. I'm a big Sondheim fan.
Right.
So West Side Story. There you go.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Can't rate that.
Have you seen the remake?
Do you know what? I'm halfway through it.
Oh, right.
And I've paused, and I'm not quite sure why, but I obviously wasn't quite as into it as I expected to be. Right, I love the original film version.
It's fabulous. My sister, when I was a kid, my sister had been to London and seen the West End version, and then came back and had the album, and I used to play it on our little Bush record player over and over and over again. I loved it. I absolutely still do. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, it's glorious, and I think for me, I mean, there's several things. One of the things that we spoke about briefly before was about the piano. I think sometimes when you play stuff on the piano, it just lends itself more to that musical theatre sound, more so than, say, acoustic guitar.
Yes.
For example. For me, a good musical is, and I'm really generalising here, it's character-based and it's story-driven. At its best. So I like to imagine it's as if you've got a scene between a couple of people, and it's almost like they can't speak it anymore. It's too much. Yeah. So they have to sing it.
Yeah.
That's the way I view it.
The thing about it, though, is that, I mean, the reason I sang that song now is because it has a story to it. And,
and it was gorgeous, by the way, I meant to say.
Thank you. Well, actually, there is another song as a follow-up to it, because I'm planning to actually try and sell it to Netflix as a series. So I've worked out on the basis that Netflix, I think, in any of these series, each season might be 9 episodes, but one thing happens in each episode, so it's not very complicated, really. So I think if I'm one song per episode, we'll get that, but we might get that. But there is that sound. I think I was thinking about this thing about the piano, though. Is that the reason it sounds like that? Is that because writing on the piano is different? I.e., if you played a song on the piano, you would play the song and include or imply very strongly the melody. Whereas if you're playing something on a guitar, you were playing the accompaniment.
Yeah, that's really interesting. The short answer is I can't completely answer that. I know that I'm quite driven by melody, and I know other people aren't so much. So one of the things I've noticed about, and I'm quite a beginner at this, I should point out, is that I've got a lot of stuff going on in the right hand, and I don't base it in big heavy chords at the bottom. Not really. Okay. So maybe my take on it is slightly different. I mean, I think the other thing about a musical is that a lot of musicals have very different styles for each song. So you'll get, like, I don't know, a bossa nova number and a rock number and a patter song, a romantic love ballad, a duet, all the rest of it. And of course, big choral numbers. So there's a big scope there. And it's drama and character, I think. Story and character, which you did in your song, exactly that.
Well, yeah, I mean, but you wouldn't listen to my song and say that's from a musical. It doesn't.
I guess
have
not,
that,
but
it doesn't have that sound to it. Even if you played it on piano, it wouldn't have that sound. I mean, that may be because the melody is more. The way my melodies are done are probably closer to a sort of blues scale than a standard major scale or a standard minor scale.
Well, I wonder if it's about what our perception of a musical is, because I'm sure that's, it's changed quite a lot and will continue to change.
Yeah.
So who's to say what is a musical sound anymore? So if I'm an old fella now. If you asked a 20-year-old, so I teach drama students at Alra in Wigan. Their idea of a musical would be very different to mine. I'm quite sure about it, and our tastes would be very different.
I mean, are there people still writing musicals in the same way, or is there a
so I mean, I know of two people who are absolutely putting out stuff all the time. Of course, it's very difficult to get stuff produced. Musicals can be very expensive and they can have a big cast. But yeah, people well, because people love musicals. Maybe not you all the time, but generally they're very appealing to people.
Is that? I mean, do they epitomize a sort of the happy ending? Is that part of it? I don't know. I don't know enough about them really, apart from what my bigotry is.
I'm not sure I know enough about them either. I mean, I'd hate to sell myself as an expert. I'm finding my way here, and I have my own take on it. So, and I think for me personally, so for example, I've got big musical theatre influences from my childhood onwards. But I've also found myself going slightly more poppy, slightly, and yes, and trying to incorporate a bit of blues, at times, or a bit of jazz at times, and it feels that's moving me at least towards more sort of cabaret rather than
yes, I can see
rather than a musical. So
I mean, it's a difficult thing in any sense. I mean, I have this conversation. In fact, I have this conversation with several people over the weekend, because people say, I play guitar. I do a lot of gigs, or whatever. Yeah. And the next question is always, what sort of music do you play?
Right.
Or what sort of music do you write? And there is no way of defining it. I mean, because of where I came from originally, I tend to get bluesy with a bit of jazz and but I'm not bluesy enough for the blues purists, and I'm not jazzy enough for the jazzers, so I'm sort of sneaking around the outskirts of both really.
And I think that's wonderful, actually, because that's about just finding what your particular sound and interest is, isn't it? That's lovely.
I think so, yeah. I mean, what I actually did at a certain point when I started, it was when we came back to the UK, and I wasn't quite sure what I should do with a website, and I wanted some sort of tagline. So I spoke to two friends of mine who were copywriters and said, okay, come up with a tagline for me. And they came up with soulful Americana and contemporary blues. Which I quite like. I'm quite happy with that.
Yeah.
Somebody else at a gig said, he said, "Yeah, you like what you're doing. It's like blues for Radio 4," which I also which I quite liked. What else? And then there's a sax player that I play with, and we did quite a lot of gigs together at one time, and he said, yeah, the thing about you is that you write blues songs with a sharpened fifth and a flattened ninth in, and I like that. So but it's very difficult to sort of brand them, isn't it? Really. I mean,
whether we should or not, I don't know.
Well, it's only a convenient handle. I mean, the problem is that if you say something to some people, they say, right, blues. Think, oh no,
it sets up an expectation, doesn't it?
Exactly. It points you
for good or ill.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, with the blues usually for ill, I have to say, because people have an association with with,
I mean, exactly that. So if you said to me musical theatre, and then I started performing songs from Annie, that's not me. But that it falls within the canon. But people have their preconceptions about it, and I think it's good to toy with that a bit.
Yeah. I should at this point have a confession. I have a confession to make.
Go on.
I have for the last something like 10 years been trying to write a musical.
No, you didn't tell me that in advance.
No, I didn't. No. Well, it's probably longer than 10 years. And the idea was, it was about this thing about storytelling. And as I mentioned to you before, I played with a big band for a long time, and I really got into that sort of Great American Songbook stuff and the Gershwins and all that. Loved it. And I started writing those sort of songs, or trying to. And I came up with this idea about this central character called Johnny Swing, and I started to think about my perception of. Obviously, this is my perception of musicals, operas, whatever. And I was thinking, well, essentially you've got boy meets girl, boy falls out with girl, boy meets girl again. And then alongside that, there's always the central character, the protagonist, has a sidekick who gets all the jokey songs.
Yeah.
And he usually is having a relationship with the sidekick of the female. So there's a bit of bickering and sort of domestic humor in that relationship. And I started writing this, and but as soon as I started thinking about writing a plot, I thought, well, that's the plot. So I don't need to write any dialogue. I don't need to write any dialogue. So I'll just write the songs.
Well, so you have a point there.
Well, and I thought about this a lot, and I don't think I've said this to anybody. Is that in classical music terms, you have the opera, and then you have the oratorio, and the oratorio is where you don't have any dialogue.
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, you have the recitative, whatever, which takes you from one bit to the next. So I was going to say, this is a jazz oratorio, and that sounds about as pretentious as it can possibly be. So I haven't used that phrase at all.
A jazz oratorio,
it's just no, it's not right, is it? And I've confessed now. But it's
that's quite interesting what you say about the book, though. I mean, I think it was Stephen Fry who wrote the book for Me and My Girl a long time ago, and earned a fortune from it.
Did he?
But actually, when he was writing it, the feedback kept coming back less, strip it back, strip it back, strip it back. So it's bare bones. It's just like a couple of lines between each song.
Yeah, yeah.
And the song carries the plot.
Yes, yeah.
It's not a play. I mean, you can have a play with music, but the plot is in the songs, and I think that's probably more like part of a definition of a musical as well.
Well, exactly, yeah, because that's but also the way in which they are told. I mean, this is a question. I have no idea what the answer is. In musical songs, are they written in the first person more frequently?
Well, that's a very good question. So I can only answer from my perspective. I would say no, but I mean they should cover a range of your characters, obviously. But
if they're being performed by the character,
I see what you're saying.
It would essentially be written in the first person,
unless you're referring to someone, or relating a tale.
Officer Krupke, you're referring to him. But on the other hand, Maria, falling in love with Maria, all that sort of stuff. It's the person's interpretation of the relationship. So you're writing about those things. But in the same way, I could also say that song that I sang at the beginning was also done in the first person. Although it wasn't me that was the protagonist in this, but the singer is the protagonist.
Exactly.
I don't know how that fits in. Yeah, so maybe another 10 years I might have finished this.
Well, I need to hear a bit of it now. Can you play any of it tonight?
Yes, I could do, actually. Yeah, go on then. I'll do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then if you're up for it, you could help me work out a harmony for a duet for me.
This is the because the whole thing about it is all the music is kind of swing feel jazz, and this is the I think this was the first one I wrote. I was trying to get that sort of it don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing kind of
lovely
story to it, although not so it's. Now music was with me since the day I was born, from Bach to the Beatles. I've heard it all, but there's only one thing that reaches my feet and makes them move to that syncopated beat. I love to swing. Swing's a thing. The delay's killing it. No swing, no nothing. I like a good melody, but rhythm is king. A sax can be cool, but it's not the same thing. I'm even partial to a tune on a slide trombone, but I'd rather hear the rhythm section on its own. I love to swing. Swing's a thing. Hear what I'm saying? No swing, no nothing. I like a sound of an old string bass. You can play it with style, you can play it with grace. The man at the back now, he keeps a beat. Esca bottle, beep, beep, beep. I love to swing. And so
gorgeous, lovely sound.
Thank you.
So you see, Rowland, right? Yeah. If that wasn't about, if you took that tune, and it wasn't talking about music per se, but was telling someone's story, it would fit perfectly.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can imagine it being like a hard luck story about someone growing up in a rough area of time, and now they'd be, you know.
Yeah, I mean that is the thing about the. I mean, after in structuring these songs, they do sit in a place in that story, and I can envisage the characters, and I can envisage the emotion going on. Yeah. I just can't be bothered with the dialogue. But
I'm with you on that.
I must say there's one that song contains one of the strangest quotes from another song that you will ever hear, in the fact that the man in the back, he keeps the beat, escabadle, esca beep, 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 is actually a quote from the Mills Brothers. Do you know the Mills Brothers?
Remind me.
Mills Brothers was a band in the 30s, and they were billed as 4 guys on a guitar. And there was the guy who played the 4-in-a-bar guitar rhythm, and all the other instruments were sung.
Yes. Oh, okay. Yes.
But yeah. And in one of their songs, the guy goes, escabadle, esca beep, beep. I love it.
All the
exactly. Yeah, all that stuff. Yeah. I love them.
Fabulous.
I love them. Yeah. There's actually some great film on some obviously black and white film of them recording, and it was all recorded in the 30s. And they basically, the 4 of them are standing in a line, and then there's this enormous horn sticking out of the wall, and it was being directly recorded onto wax on the other side of the wall. It's astonishing piece of technology.
What they have to do.
Yeah, and now we've got it all in a laptop. So then, I've done a bit of playing. Are you going to do a bit of playing?
Yeah, can we? So, apropos of our previous conversation, can we put a big caveat on this? just to say, so this is stuff that it's stuff I'm working on, and I don't even know if it's a musical anymore, having just had that whole conversation.
Yeah.
It could be a bit of cabaret,
Yeah.
or I'm calling it almost a song cycle now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's charting. It's kind of a middle-aged musical, if it's anything. But there are some.
I'm digging it already.
But it's about some quite heavy things, but it's not all heavy. But it is about breakup of relationships, particularly codependency, and getting out of something is a big deal in this. But it's not all grim. And finding a bit of redemption and peace in later life as well.
Okay.
But the caveat is that I have never performed any of this for anyone
Tonight.
Until tonight.
Christopher Penney.
This is, but also that it's not meant for me to sing it.
Oh, well, that's
I'm actually writing it for someone else.
That. Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah.
So I may collapse, and then we can have a laugh about it. Because if I forget anyone's words, it's my own. This one is called "Make Me a Monster," "Make Me Your Monster."
Okay.
And it's about being stuck in a kind of Frankenstein codependent relationship, basically.
That's a cheery start.
I know, and it goes very something like this.
Okay.
Work on me, fake the faker, cut your pattern into a facsimile of me, doll me up and stretch me out, give your pain away, push it down into my heart, I got pins and needles, make me your monster, sew me up in static dreams, and leave me in stitches, flailing and failing at the seams. Fake needs surgery, the operation's not for me. Tell me what you want me, what you need me to be. Yours to play with, stitch your pain away, and cobbled together, hanging on by a thread, with borrowed bits and pieces. It's the night of the living dead, and make me your monster, sew me up in static dreams, and leave me in stitches, flailing, failing at the seams.
Well done. Well done. You got over it.
You.
Well Well done, Chris. It's a bit. You got through it. Oh, hang on, it's thunderous applause there.
Really? I can't hear it.
No. It's come up on the graphic in front of me.
Oh goodness!
It's come up. Yeah.
Thank you.
Lots of clapping. Yeah, as I was listening to it, I was just thinking about. I mean, because the way in which you write and the way you perform, there's a lot of there's almost like the emotion is kind of built into the structure of the song, as opposed to a sort of more jazzy, bluesy sort of thing where the emotion is kind of added to it. It's actually part of the structure in that, isn't it?
That's really interesting. I'd never thought of it that way, but I think you're probably
I hadn't
right.
thought of it, but I'm just thinking. I'm thinking on my feet.
I think that's really perceptive because there's a drama in the music
Exactly.
itself.
Yeah.
So that those changes, the this is quite.
Yeah, it is. It's it. So it's that. I mean, and that is not something that you could easily do on anything other than a piano. To be honest, I mean, there's no way of doing that on a guitar. I mean, the most I can manage is 6 notes, whereas you've got 10 to go for.
I generally stick with 6, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, in fairness, I was just thinking about that. About your piano playing skills. One of the great songwriters, and I can't remember which one it was, immensely successful, only played on the black notes.
That's a very good tip.
Yeah, but when he was successful, he had a piano built for him whereby he had pedals on it so he could move basically the structure so that he's still playing on the black notes, but he was playing in a different key. Because obviously they used to perform for singers. The singer would come around and say, all right, we'll just try this out. And he'd start playing, saying, oh, that's not, can you take it down a tone? So
well, I can do that on my piano.
Well, yeah, but apparently this thing cost like $10,000 to build.
Bloody hell.
In 1930 or something like that, whereas now it's a flick of a switch on one of these, isn't it? But yeah, he was limited to that, he could
so it's almost like a loom when you press something and all the strings.
That's I've never seen any pictures of it or anything, but somebody was saying to me that essentially because every time you hit a key, a hammer strikes the string. If you've got a way of moving either the keys or the strings. Yeah. But I mean, it's just the idea of you flicking a lever and half your grand piano moves to one side, or maybe you just have to move up a bit. But no, I mean, he was kind of, I can't think who it was. It's well documented. I know I've not made this one up.
I'll have to look at that.
Yeah,
I'm fascinated.
There's lots of good stories about the great songbook writers and the great American songbook writers. Gershwin. George was a. He used to go.
Gershwin.
He used to go around the shops in New York, and because obviously a lot of money was made selling sheet music, so he'd go into the shops and see what was showing of his, and the ones that weren't selling, he'd pull from the back to the front. But then he'd go back home and write more of the stuff that was at the front and selling. And
very clever.
Yeah, but probably the best stroke worst stories about the Gershwins was Ira. And after George had died, a young songwriter came to Ira Gershwin and kept hounding him. He said, "Look, I've written this song to commemorate George Gershwin's life. Can I play it to you?" And Ira Gershwin said, "No, I haven't got time."
Go away.
Yeah, just sod off, but apparently carried on. Eventually, Ira Gershwin said, "Go on and play it." And he plays this song, sings the song, and says to Ira Gershwin, "So what do you think?" He says, "On the whole, I think it would have been better if you'd have died and George could have written the song." I mean, how brutal is that?
That is kind of brutal.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And the other good story is about I can't. It was who wrote Old Man River? Hammerstein, was it? Was that Rodgers and
Hammerstein, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Rodgers and Hammerstein. I can't remember which is, but Mrs. Rodgers and Mrs. Hammerstein are at a party, and whichever one was the lyricist, I can't remember which way around it was. She's introduced by the hostess to somebody else, and she says, "This lady's husband wrote Old Man River." All right, that's right. He was the musician. So, this lady's husband wrote Old Man River. And the other wife hears it and goes over and says, no, her husband wrote Dum 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 Dum. My husband wrote Old Man River.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I love that. Anyway, so, well, Chris, so what else have we got to add
Rowland.
Yes, write me a musical. Give us a bit of a background on that.
Make me a musical. So that's my catch-all title for whatever it is I'm doing. Yeah. So the thing I'm slightly struggling with, and by all means, anyone help me, is I sit and I play and I write songs from different character perspectives. But they're all piano based. I've got no tech, and I'm not an orchestrator or an arranger. So writing a fully fledged musical has been feeling like a bit of a stretch. I've got someone to help write the book, funnily enough, because I don't really want to write the book. So now I'm just toying with the idea of it being. Have you seen Tick Tick Boom? The Tick Tick Boom's the film based on. God, of course I've forgotten his name. The guy who wrote Rent. Oh, right. The big hit musical. Yeah. Who, before he wrote Rent, he wrote Tick Tick Boom. And that's what the film is based upon. But it's kind of a workshop production of, it's a piano and four singers. Yeah. Basically. So if I did anything, it would be that as a stepping stone. Yeah. And if I did that as a stepping stone to that, it would be kind of continuing my song cycle and performing, I guess. But also getting other people to sing.
Yeah, it's interesting you say about the arrangements, because I would have thought that, I mean, thinking back, to the days of the Great American Songbook, in those days, I mean, apparently George was an amazing performer when he used to go out and sell his songs to the publishers and to various artists and things like that.
Well, that's helpful.
He was a very flamboyant piano player, and one of the things that I've done with this show is kept it simple and not had people say, because I mean, I've recorded stuff in studios with lots of things going on, but I wanted to have it at a basic level where a person can sit like you've done now and sing and play their instrument with its piano or guitar and just perform the song.
There's a lot of beauty in that, I think. Absolutely.
I think so. And also there's a lot of honesty in it, because what you make of a song, I mean, I think maybe with musical it's different because they have a structure to the whole thing. But what you make of a song is up to the performer. I mean, the classic one, of course, with a little help from my friends, what Joe Cocker did with it in comparison to how it was written.
Yes,
it's unbelievable. Yeah. What was the other one I was thinking of the other day? Oh, what were they called? Vanilla Fudge, I think they were called, a American sort of psychedelic band. Yeah. And they did You Keep Me Hanging On as a sort of heavy metal sort of, 60s equivalent to heavy metal. Yeah. Just because who was that? Was that 3 years?
There's something interesting there about the role of the performer and what sells a song. Just picking up on that Gershwin story. Another musician was talking to me the other day, and they were saying, there's a reason that people don't do Michael Jackson songs in karaoke. Because if you've ever tried it, and I haven't, people fail when they try to cover a Michael Jackson song because it's him.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas people succeed with a Beatles song or a Robbie Williams song,
right?
For instance, it's just a different beast. It's a very different thing. It's all about it's where the performer comes into it.
Yeah, I know. I see
Quite
what
where I was going with that.
No, but I see what you're saying. That there are certain songs that are only it's his song, it's her song, and that's it. There's nobody else who's going to touch it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Maybe
Prince falls into that category as well. I'm not sure. Maybe.
Prince. I saw Prince once, and he was just magnificent.
Absolutely. There's no touching him, I don't think.
Absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah. You're talking about a showman with heart.
Everything. I mean, he played everything. He had a great band with him, but he played guitar, he played a bit of drums, he sang.
Massive talent.
Oh,
massive talent.
Unbelievable. Quite an unforgettable gig, I have to say. But those sort of people, and I was watching a documentary about Stevie Wonder the other night on Sky Arts, and you realise the amount of stuff that he's produced. And I think that the weird thing for me is that I don't think I've ever owned a Stevie Wonder album, to be honest. But I cannot deny that I think he's immensely talented. His songs and the variety of songs. If you think some of the things they put side by side in this documentary was like, I just called you. I just called to say I love you. And then Master Blaster. It's like, what the hell is going on between those two songs, And extraordinary. And then Superstition, which is still one of the greatest songs ever written, I think. But he was such an immense, still is such an immense talent. But the other thing you were saying before about other people, songs that can be covered, because it's one of those things, and I'm always ranting on about this, is one of the things that I find that when I came back from living abroad, I'd lost touch with a lot of musicians. They'd either packed in playing, or they were dead, or they'd moved away, whatever. And so I started going to. You get the picture. Started going to open mic nights just to meet other musicians, and I'd hear all these young performers say, "Oh well, I'm just going to finish off with a cover." And I'd say, why are you so apologetic? Yeah, why apologize for it? And because I've got this thing, and I've quoted this a lot. There was a book written I think it was written in the 70s, called A Wop Wop a Loo Bop, where the guy's main thesis is saying, somewhat tongue in cheek, that the Beatles were the worst thing to happen to popular music, because after them, people took it seriously. Because up until then, it was Because up until then, really, most of the people prior to that didn't write their own material. Presley put his name to a few things. Sinatra put his name to a few things. We didn't actually write anything. And
so suddenly pop music becomes an art form.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, nobody.
There's something in that. And
I think there's a lot of sense in that. And and a cover just meant. It was quite a genuine term when it was first used, whereas now it's become a deprecating. It's like, this is just a cover, and I just find that quite. I mean, I do most of the stuff I do is my own, but I do one song by John Hyatt, one by Boss Skaggs. I occasionally do some Ry Cooder's. But I would never say it's a cover, because I make of it what I make.
Also, from my perspective, do you know what? I would adore it if someone would cover one of my songs. I would be delighted.
Absolutely. God, yes.
Absolutely
That's my dream. Yeah.
Yes.
It would be my dream, yes.
Well,
I think on that note of optimism, we shall leave it there for today. What do you reckon, Chris?
So you're not going to help me with my harmony then?
Well, are we going to do that then? The problem the problem is this.
Yeah.
Is the delay.
It's the delay.
Yeah. Delay.
Well, I was just going to show you, because you were talking about musicals.
Oh, go on.
And just for a different flavour,
Go on.
I'm not gonna do all of it, but I just want to show you a little bit of this. So this is Together, which will be a duet.
Right.
Okay, which we're not going to do. Okay. But it's got much more of a musical theatre Sondheim-y feel, I think.
Go on. Yeah, okay.
When it's cold outside, when the snow falls down, when our nights are closing in, we'll face it together, weather the weathers, whatever. Go out walking or just stay sitting. I'll do the crosswords and you'll do some knitting, and we can be other under the covers together. See, so there's much more of a
and there's
a more showy tune.
It is. Oh, it's very much so. Yeah, it's very sparkly dress, that, isn't it?
And a bit more positive.
Yeah.
But then I got to. I know I'm holding you up a little bit, but then I
No.
I was
trying to let you off the hook.
And I just
You're
I wrote
into it
another.
now,
I wrote another tune instead of a harmony, so that's a learning point for me. So I found myself trying to do a harmony and got, when it's cold outside, when the snow falls down, and then the American accent came in. When our nights are closing in, we'll face it together, weather the weathers, whatever.
Right, can I stop you there? Right, just sing that first line again. In that style.
When it's cold outside, when the snow falls down.
Now there was something about that line as he sang it, right? Me with my sort of semi-blues head on, I heard the line da 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 going slightly differently. I could hear a different da 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 with da 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 da. Is that what you're singing? Da 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 da.
When it's cold outside, could do anything.
But there was an interval that I was singing in my head that was different to what you were singing, but we're still above the same chords, if you know what I mean, which is quite interesting. Yeah.
So, so I need to work on finding a harmony that isn't a tune, and because there's another tune, it doesn't really work as a harmony. Interesting.
No. Except, but there's another thing about harmonies. I was talking to somebody about this yesterday at the rehearsal. Is that with certain types of music, harmonies need to be bang on, right?
Yeah.
With other types of music, they need to be not bang on. Now, there's a great American country band called the Steel Drivers who are fabulous, absolutely fabulous, and they have harmonies, but the harmonies, it just sounds like a bunch of guys around a microphone singing and enjoying it, you know.
And it's kind of rough and raucous and fun.
Yeah. But absolutely, if you listen to them, you know these are well rehearsed. And they know exactly what they're doing, and it may sound a bit edgy, but in fact, it's very, very precise. If you know what I mean. Yeah. But there again, there's that other thing about music when it's the difference between something being tight and sloppy, and some music, like funk. I mean, if you listen to somebody like the Meters were a phenomenal funk band. I mean, just brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
But they're not exactly precise. The groove moves slightly, you know, and there's stuff pulling and pushing, and so it's not metronomic. I mean, it's not like a drum machine, you know. There's a lot of movement in it.
It's a difference between relaxed and sloppy, though, isn't there?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
exactly. But it's those
and
sort of
free and messy.
And there's sort of there's all those sort of subtleties in music, and I think that for me, because I mean, this is not. It might sound like a criticism, but it's not. The fact that emotion is kind of built into musical style songs actually puts it's more not restricted, but it's more defined. It's kind of prescriptive, shall we say, in the sense that the chords and what you're playing on the piano send you very much in a certain feel. Yeah.
Yeah. You see, I honestly don't know. I think if it is, it shouldn't be, is my answer to that. And a better mind than mine would probably challenge you more clearly on that point. But I think you're right that is how musicals can go, but I don't think they should.
Yeah. Well, I'm just
to be more surprised.
I'd be honest. I'm busking this. I've never had this conversation in such depth with anybody. Yeah. So that's cool. That's good. That's good. That's good. We've achieved something in that case. I think that's good. Yeah. Well, have you enjoyed it? Have you enjoyed your first live appearance?
I have enjoyed it. I got through a song and I didn't completely collapse and fall flat on my face. So thank you very much for that. I'm very pleased.
Absolute pleasure, mate.
It was a landmark for me. So great. Thanks very much for having me on. I've really enjoyed it.
It's been good fun. It's been good fun. Yeah. Well done. Right then, so I shall bid you farewell and just sign off the program.
All right. Thanks, Rowland.
Cheers. Oh, that was good fun. I enjoyed that. So I shall leave you now. I shall be back in the morning with my music in the morning. And I'm just going to finish off tonight with the promo for the new album, because I'm plugging it like fury, because I'm quite proud of it, I have to say. So until the next time, until tomorrow morning, until Talking Songs in 2 weeks' time. Bye. I've been thinking about where I've been, the places I've visited, the things I've seen, made decisions by people I've met, some were good ones and some I regret. Don't know the future, can't change the past, that's how it is, that's how it is.